Hello and welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast dedicated to igniting your entrepreneurial spirit and empowering you to conquer new horizons. In this podcast, we chat with inspiring entrepreneurs on their journey to success through some amazingly insightful and expansive conversations. These episodes thrive on thought-provoking chats where our guests fearlessly explore their path to success, sharing their experiences, failures, and triumphs. No topic is off limits as we deep dive into the talked about and not so talked about pieces it takes to build a business, overcome limiting beliefs, deal with personal struggles, and everything in between that shapes our lives and our businesses. I'm your host, Kat Polsonelli, creator and founder at The Lotus Effect, where we believe that success is not just about strategies and tactics, it's about cultivating a powerful mindset and creating customized business operations that align with you and your true purpose. Whether it's mastering time management, improving productivity, enhancing leadership skills, or simply fostering a growth-oriented mindset, we'll provide you with the tools and strategies to flourish in both your business and personal life. I'm so excited to have you join us today in this episode, so get ready to feel empowered and inspired as we learn together and from one another on how to rise above challenges, break through limitations, and unlock our full potential. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I am so excited to have you guys here with us today, and I have an awesome guest. So, Inga, thank you so much for joining me for the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, girl. Excited to be here.
I am so excited, and I love what you do, so I can't wait for you to share this with everybody. So please do us all a favor then and tell us who you are, what it is that you do, and what got you into your space.
Awesome. Well, my name is Inga Fay. I go by Inga Fay, and I'm an authenticity strategist. And I'm sure you're listening and you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, basically what that means is I empower women to be the best version of themselves. And I do that in two ways. First and foremost, I am an introvert and I empathize with folks that are introvert or even those that have introverted tendencies. So I help female entrepreneurs with introverted tendencies in the coaching and consultant space really use their innate gifts to grow their business in an extroverted world. And we'll get more into that as we talk during this podcast. But in addition to that, I also help corporate women or just professional women in general find their happy place. And when I say that is, I know that when you look good, you feel good. And as a result of feeling good, you can definitely do more. So I'm also a beauty enthusiast and I help women find their perfect shade, their perfect lipstick, the skincare that can really make their skin glowing under it all, because that's the foundation of all the things that you put on your face. But today we're definitely going to focus on the coaching side of my business, which is the Authenticity Strategist.
Okay, now you have to tell me, how on earth did you even come up with and get into the space of being an authenticity strategist?
Well, that's, I guess the whole point of it was in my business journey, I have been trained by extroverts. And typically, what do people teach you how to do? What they know how to do best.
Yeah.
And it really didn't gel with my personality. Now, granted, I did it because I thought that was what was going to make me successful, because I saw the success in their lives. I saw their results like anybody else would see. But I realized there's got to be another way. And I really wanted to figure that out for myself. And then as a result of figuring it out for myself, be able to pass that on to others like me that were introverted or had introverted tendencies, so they could really feel great being who they genuinely are and then thrive as an entrepreneur.
And I love this so much because I know you and I have talked about this on your podcast and we've talked about this in general, but like you and I both are on the same page in regards to being able to communicate and define yourself the way that you choose to be. Exactly. Versus how everybody wants to teach you. Because what we forget when we are looking for coaches and people to help us grow is, do they really align with how we already are at our core,
Exactly.
because like you said, and I've had to dial this back sometimes for my clients, because I can be very energetic and outgoing and a little bit like high energy. And I do have some clients that that's not necessarily their vibe. They can still be excited and have fun. But when I come in just like 110%, right? They're like, whoa, time out, right? Dial it back a little bit. So I love that you bring this piece out, because it's so important, and it's something I talk with my clients as well, is like, you need to be able to function the way that you naturally are, because
Right.
otherwise you're still trying to be somebody outside of yourself, which is exhausting, so
Exhausted.
exhausting.
And it's funny that you say that, because that was really my indicator that I was doing something wrong, because it took so much energy for me to be this person that I wasn't, right? And then when I
Mm-hmm.
got home, I was just like dead tired. And I used to think, oh, well, it was just because I worked my corporate job before I did XYZ. That's why I'm feeling this way. But I really
Mm-hmm.
truly realized, no, Inga, it's because you expended all of this energy, your social battery, which is really real when it comes
Yeah.
to an introvert. You spent all of this energy on your social, you did your work, so you used some of your social battery at work. Then you went out and then you did this other, your side business, and used all this other energy, just to promote and tell people about your side business. And now you come home and you don't have energy for anything because you've
Mm-hmm.
expended it throughout the day. And that's not cool either, because we're not just work and no play, right? We got to find that life work harmony is what I call it, not really balance, but really the harmony in the work and the life, so we can be there for pretty much all aspects of our life, not just making money. And that was really what was something that I wanted to make sure that I was focusing on. It was really important to me to kind of figure that part of it out.
I love that you call it the social battery as well, because even though like I enjoy people, with the way that I work with people, especially when I'm focused more around their mindset, I tend
Yeah.
to feel into their feelings, and that is emotionally draining as well.
Draining.
And
Yes.
so, even for me, I had to look at my calendar and be like, okay, why am I so exhausted? Because like I
Yep.
enjoy the conversations, I enjoy this, I enjoy that. And what I realized was, you have to be very sensitive to how your battery works,
Yep.
in regards to like, um, can I have a conversation here in the beginning of the day, jump into work, jump back into a conversation? Like, flip-flopping your emotions sometimes I think can be more draining. So like I
Yeah.
had to redo my entire schedule to where it was like, okay, networking calls are only in the afternoons on Tuesdays, podcast days are Thursdays, and that's like all that I do, so that I could kind of refocus that energy, so that I also had time to breathe
Yeah.
and have some quiet space as
Yep.
well. So I would love to know, what were some of the things that you saw kind of shifting in yourself, or that you started changing to help kind of alleviate that overall exhaustion?
Well, first and foremost, I started telling people what I needed. And when I say what I
Mm,
need, for example, when it came time for people to ask me questions, unless it was just something that I had really studied intensely, I know I need time to think. So instead of me being in a meeting or in a kind of I guess a brainstorming type of meeting, I would want to know the questions beforehand, just so I could have time to marinate on them
oh,
and
okay.
then be able to offer a good solution. Because I found if I didn't do it that way, I would be sitting in meetings, sitting there pondering and not really contributing. And then people are just like, oh, well, she's just not enthused. Well, no, it's not that I'm not enthused. I just need time to marinate. I mean, that's really just the bottom line to it. So if
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the questions beforehand, then I found myself really wanting to kind of think about it and then get back to the people after it was over. So that was one thing I had to kind of let people know what I needed. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that I wasn't enthused. It was just this is me being me, and I need time to think. Another thing, just for the social battery point of view, is I started setting times in between my meetings because I found that I was doing back to back to back to back, similar to what you were saying.
Yes.
But I realized that I needed a break. I needed a break that I could just go walk outside for 10 minutes or
Mm-hmm.
just be not with people or not talking to anybody, just to kind of recharge myself for the next call. So I started putting that 15-minute in before and then after the call. So depending on how the call went, if it went over, I still had that kind of 15-minute grace and I knew it
Mm-hmm.
was there and it wasn't back to back to back to back kind of thing. So those are just a couple of things that I have learned to incorporate in my schedule, and then letting people know exactly what my needs are so I can be the best Inga and be present when I'm with them.
Yeah. And I love that you said this too, in regards to like you let people know what you needed, which just ultimately means I communicated
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
way that helped people understand how I intake information,
Yep.
which I believe that we need to totally have more of that, because for some of us that are a little bit more high energy or
Mm-hmm.
like me, we get like all in these thoughts and we're like, oh, I got all these ideas. Like we have to remember that not everybody can intake it as quick as we are. And sometimes
Exactly.
that means slowing down, or maybe you write out a bullet point list of all the things and you only touch base on a few, or like you said, you give the space to like, hey, I know that you can't necessarily give me all of the answers right now or the feedback. Can you at least provide it in the next like 24 to 48 hours?
Right.
And then we can
Exactly.
continue that conversation. So I love that you have put that out there, because I think that that is huge, not only in business, but also in our personal life as well. Whether it's with your spouse, your kids, friends, you have to be able to openly communicate with them kind of what's going on. That's become a big thing with my teenagers right now, of like, there have been evenings where I'm like, look, I am slammed. I am at my wit's end. Like my brain is about to go kapooey.
Yep.
So if you can make dinner and just leave me alone, we'll have
Yep.
this conversation tomorrow. But creating
Exactly.
that space has also taught them, right, that they can now do that. And you'd be amazed, I feel like, and I'd love your thoughts on it too, but I feel like we would be amazed at how people react and start actually doing the same thing when we
Yeah.
start putting that information out there and making it known, instead of feeling like we need to be the same as everyone that's around us.
Right. And I totally agree with that. It's funny that you say that because I had this conversation with my son, because my son and my husband are extroverts. Okay.
Ah.
So they feed off of company and being with people. And I remember when I was telling my son about what my needs were, and he was like, "Yeah, mom, I know daddy loves to just talk to people. He's always, I mean, he's sitting here. I mean, it's funny how he just immediately went right into it. He just loves talking to. He's always on the phone and da, da, da. And he is, because that's just him. And I
Yeah.
wanted to tell my son that too, because I know they're there. And I tell him, son, look, it's not that I don't love you. It's just like you described. I am just tired. I've had this
Mm-hmm.
long day, and I recharge by myself. And it's not that I don't love you. It's just I'm just trying to recharge. So
Yeah.
I can love on you a little later, but you just got to give me my time so I can do that. And when I said that to him, it was almost like a light bulb went off in his head. Like he was like, "Oh, okay, that's why." So I think and that's even more of a reason why I wanted to share this with people, because I know that there are other people out there like this. You may have a relationship with someone that's an extrovert, similar to what you describe, and they're expecting you to act like them. And then when you don't, they're thinking, oh, well, what's going on with her? Why is she being all anti? And it's not that you're being anti-sociable. You just
Mm-hmm.
need your recharge time, and you recharge by yourself where they recharge with people. So
Yeah.
it's just being able to know that difference for sure. And then I also want to say that introverts are very passionate about whatever their thing is. I'll say it that way. It's really about the energy, how they reach. At the end of the day, it's about the energy. I remember I was on a mastermind with a couple of people, and this guy was like going into it, like, "Oh, introverts are this the way." And I was like, "Dude, no, they're not." I almost felt like it was like I felt like I'm not going to sit here and battle with you about it. I'm
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's not that deep. But as an introvert, I'm telling you what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have people saying stuff like, well, I can't even believe you're able to get on video and do what you do. I can get on video and talk your ear off. But I promise you that after it's all over with, I am going to need my time by myself
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to do something like that again. So just be cognizant of that and not necessarily think that everybody has to be exactly like you are, because that's why we are all different, right?
That's supposed to be the good thing about it. I think it's
Exactly.
also redefining the term introvert and extrovert. I think
Yes.
that a lot of this, and I actually had someone that gave me the definitions a while back, and I wish I could remember what she said because it was amazing. But I was having a conversation and I was talking about how, like, I am extroverted, but I tend to do these kinds of things. And she was like, no, 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 no. Like, introvert does not mean you like to be in your hole and you don't like to be around people.
Exactly.
It's more around, like you said, it's your passion, it's your energy there, but then there's other things where you need that space
Yep.
to refill your cup, right?
Yep.
And I've
Exactly.
noticed that, like, as I've gotten older, I've actually kind of shifted that. So, like, yes, I love being around people. Yes, I'm very passionate. Yes, I will talk your head off about anything and everything if I feel like it's a really good, deep conversation.
Right.
And there are still times where I'm like, okay, emotion overload, too many people. I'm gonna take a time out. Please don't bother me. Like, I will literally leave my phone in the house, go sit outside and close my eyes and sit in the sun.
Right.
Right. Because even social media and stuff like that can be extremely
Training.
overwhelming and
Yeah.
overstimulating
Yep.
on top of all the things. And I don't even think that we realize that, but I do think that we as a whole need to redefine what the word introvert and extrovert mean, because I
Yep.
don't think that they mean what everybody thinks
No,
they
they're
do.
not. They're introverts are not necessarily shy. Introverts are not antisocial. Introverts have the skills to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I've heard all of the different things that they think they don't have because they see us as one way when in actuality it's not that way.
Mhm.
And as you can see right now, I'm very passionate about what I'm talking about. And yes, I am an introvert. Although you may say, "Oh, she's not an introvert." Yeah. So this is a perfect example of, yes, I can be passionate. Yes, I can even talk about what I'm passionate about. Yes, I can even have friends and socialize with people about what I'm passionate about. But I'm gonna need my happy space afterwards. That's what it comes down to. By myself.
Definitely.
That's what my happy place is. So just wanted to clarify. So
By myself. Make sure we made that
yeah,
completely clear.
exactly.
But you know what, though? I feel like everyone, regardless of you being introverted or extroverted, we all need time to ourselves to be able to kind of recharge where we're at. Now, not all of us like being alone. And I think that people need to understand the difference in
Yeah.
that scenario, right? Because I used to be that way. I used to be like, oh, no, 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 I just love being around people and it's amazing. But then I would still be tired, but it was because not necessarily that I love being around people that much. It was the fact that I didn't want to be alone, because being alone
Ah,
meant I had to deal with my own thoughts. It meant that I had to deal with the
okay.
issues that maybe I hadn't solved. And so for anybody out there that is like, I don't know if I'm an introvert or an extrovert, because like I love people, but then like I'm still exhausted afterward. That was a really defining moment for me of like, yes,
Interesting.
I love people and yes, I enjoy being around different energies. And I realized that I was busying myself with those, because if I had to sit at home alone and not scroll through my phone or turn the TV on, I had to deal with old emotions or traumas that I
Mhm.
hadn't dealt with, or situations that I was like, I should have handled that differently. I could have said this. Well, if I'd have said that, then maybe they would have said that. And I realized that I was filling in all of the holes to be around people, not because I'm an extrovert, but because I didn't want to handle my own stuff. And we
Yeah.
need to be aware of that as well,
Oh,
because I think
for
that's where
sure. That
people
is
get
spot on.
confused.
That's spot on. Yeah, and it's probably a lot of people out there that's doing that same thing. It's their way of masking what is actually what they really need to deal with. I'll say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's truly powerful and positive that you did that self-reflection and had that self-discovery that, yeah, this is why I'm doing this. Yeah. I think that's awesome. for
Yeah,
sure.
it was definitely a growing moment, and then that is when it kind of switched to, oh, I actually like being alone sometimes.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy listening to the birds or going to sit next to a waterfall and just like be, right?
Yeah.
But like before, that was never me. Like I was the yes person. I was the yes, we can go do these things. I can do this. I'm gonna do this stuff with my kids, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized like years later, I'm like, oh my, I was literally running on fumes
Right.
trying
Yeah.
to
So,
be that.
so it's the power of just being present. I think that's what you're talking about. It's the power of
Mm-hmm.
being present. And sometimes we want to mask being present. And that's our way of doing that. So yeah, I totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
So I got to ask you this then, for a lot of people that are, are listening or tuning in that are like, well, I feel like I might be an introvert, but like I still want to be able to run my own business. Like I want to be able to do this. What would you say are some starting points for them that can help them work around, either their shyness or the fact that like they don't necessarily want to be around a ton of people, and at the same time they have this beautiful passion behind them of wanting to help people.
Right. So the first thing I would want to say, and I actually got this from one of the books I had read about introverted leadership, and I thought it was so powerful. And it's called The Four Ps. I can't
Ooh.
remember the author's name, but it is called Introverted Leadership. So I want to make sure that I give her the credit because this is not me, but I will give you my strategy after this. But I'm going to tell you what she said, and I really agree with this. First and foremost, we need to prepare. Like I had mentioned before, like when I am in meetings and if people want me to give them ideas, that I need to have prep time or I need to have
Mm-hmm.
marination time that I can actually think about what they're wanting me to do. So being able to prepare. So that was the first P that she recommended. Secondly, we want to be present. So we want to make sure that when we're in meetings, we may even have something that we do as far as, okay, well, within the first 10 minutes of me being in this meeting, I'm going to ask a question because that's really being present. That's letting people know that you are aware of what's going on in the room, that you're asking a question that's relative to whatever they're talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
that's number two. The second thing would be um, to practice. Oftentimes, well, no, I'm sorry. The third thing would be to push, and that would be to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Because, granted, yeah, I had to figure out how to talk to people I didn't know. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about a little later is I feel like the perfect icebreaker for an introvert, because I know we don't really necessarily like small talk, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
we're really passionate about the product or the service that we are selling, right? So we'll
Yeah.
love to talk about that. But to do the small talk to eventually talk about that's kind of weird to us. So we got to figure out a way, and I have the perfect icebreaker for that you can actually have that. You'll be able to have the time to marinate, to be able to talk about your product or service, and then be able to talk to only the people that want what you have, which is ideal. So you're not having to convince, which is a whole nother different subject. But anyway, so you want to be able to prepare, you want to be present in the moment of wherever you are. You want to push yourself out of your comfort zone and do that in a way that's going to build what I call your courage muscle, because every time you keep pushing yourself out of the comfort zone, you're going to be able to do it that much better the next time.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how you practice. Practice is going to help you continue to prepare. Just similar, like if you are working out at the gym, you can't just work out at the gym one day and then have six-pack abs, right? It doesn't work that way. You got to do
Dang
it.
it.
Yeah. So you want to continuously to work on your abs. And in this case, you want to continuously to work on whatever, stepping out, talking to people you don't know, carrying on some kind of conversation, because as entrepreneurs, we know that we have to do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the lifeline of our business is people that we don't know, because we're constantly looking for folks that we don't know, that we haven't served yet, and then be able to provide them with our product or service. So we can't somewhat stay in our comfort zone, because if we stay in our comfort zone, we don't make no money, right? So we got to step out to be able to do that. So that's why it's so apparent that you want to do those 4 Ps. You want to prepare, you want to be present, you want to push yourself out of your comfort zone, you want to practice, and then you will have progress. And that's what I call the 5th P, the progress. So that is what I would recommend that entrepreneurs do to that have introverted tendencies to build their business. So how would you do that? How would you have that perfect icebreaker? So I'm sure some of you are like, well, what is the perfect icebreaker, Inga?
Yes.
All right. So to me, from my humble opinion, I think the perfect icebreaker is a survey, because what it allows you to do is first and foremost to find out what's going on with the person so they can feel seen, feel heard, and understood, because that's what people want. I'm sure many of you have gotten those, some kind of salesy DM. If you're in entrepreneurship, where somebody's trying to be your VA, or they're trying to be your coach and tell you that they can get you making 20 grand a month and in a week. Or they I mean, all kinds of stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. You've gotten those DMs just like me. So I want you to make sure that when you're interacting with someone, that they know that you are genuinely wanting to help them. And that's how you're going to do it, because you're going to ask them instead of assume that you have what they want. You're going to ask them to find out if they what they want, to confirm or deny that. Then after you ask them, you want to be able to assist them more so than annoy them. And I think we all know how that goes, because you'll have I had this one guy tell me that he looked at my this was so tickled. This just happened to me yesterday. He looked at my Facebook page and he told me that I wasn't posting regularly. And I was just like, okay, well, obviously you didn't look at my Facebook page, because I post every day. But that's cool.
Congratulations.
I post regularly, he tells me. And my captions are not where they need to be. Okay. But I didn't ask you that, right? Unsolicited advice. But anyway, I told him no thanks. But then he writes me back, oh, but dude, what part of no thanks did you not understand?
Yeah.
To me, that's annoying, because I already told you no. I'm not interested. But he still wanted to proceed with that. But I think we really need to be cognizant of that, because I know how that felt. So I don't want to make someone else feel that way too. So that's why the survey is going to allow me to really figure out, based on how this person answered this question, this person is not interested in what I have. I know they're not. So you can get that information up front. And then after you do that, then you're able to do the third thing that I strongly encourage people do is to attract people to you more so than attack, like that guy did me. Oh, but I can do this. No, but I didn't ask. First of all, I didn't ask you for your help. And then you're telling me what else you can do, but I didn't ask you for that either. That was attacking me more so than attracting me. Somebody saying, oh, well, I'm an introvert. I really need help on growing my business. Lead generation is something that I really somewhat struggle with. And if you have a way that I can really connect with people, find out what they want, filter the folks that want what I have, and so I don't have to convince, because I know that really doesn't work, I would love that. Girl, I'm your girl. That is what I would be able to tell them. But it's the survey that allowed me to be able to do that. And then in addition to that, because I know many of us are working to improve our visibility, right? How do we improve our visibility? Again, by attracting people to us. So what if you could actually get in the minds of your potential prospects and leads and really find out what keeps them up at night, instead of assuming what keeps them up at night? Perfect example. I initially started this in the beauty side of my business. I used to have these surveys where I asked people about lipstick. And I typically wrote the survey wanting them to basically tell me what I wanted to hear. They wanted long-lasting lipstick. They wanted lipstick with moisture. Okay. When I revamped my survey and started asking them, well, what do they want in a lipstick? You know what they told me? It was none of that. I want a lipstick that looks great on my complexion. They didn't care less about the moisture, less about the longevity of the lipstick. They wanted something that looked great on them. And that's when it really hit me that I'm asking these questions that I essentially think I want to hear myself, but that's not the question, and that's not the problem that they were looking for. So now, you know what I was able to do with that? I was able to make landing pages, and I was able to create guides and checklists that addressed that issue. So then what was I able to do? I was able to attract the people to me that wanted what I had. And I didn't have to guess about it because they had already told me what it was. So
Yeah.
it made it really easy for me to come up with copy that would attract those people to me.
Oh, I feel like we just hit the jackpot. We're just going to clip like this 10-minute segment. We're just going to, it's so much good information, but
Yeah.
it's so true. And I
Yeah.
love that you bring this to the front of not assuming, because I think a lot of us in the coaching and consulting space, we struggle with what wording to use
Yeah.
because we hear all these other people that are like, it's because you need mindset, or it's because you need emotional intelligence. Like, we use all these words, and
Yep.
then we realize that like that's lingo that we use because we're a coach if we were speaking with other
Exactly.
coaches. But for the
Exactly.
people that are behind that are trying to solve something, don't understand that lingo. That's like if a doctor was to come in and give you the medical definitions of
Of
what's wrong with
everything.
you, and you're like, I don't even
What does that
know. I don't
mean?
even know how you spell that. How do you, where does that,
How do you even pronounce it?
15 letters. But it's being very aware of that. So I love that you brought that up, because I've had so many people lately that have been struggling with that because they keep trying to use these terms
Yeah.
that these influencers or these people on social media are using.
Yep.
And in reality, even if you go back and think about yourself, when I was healing, if you'd have told me you were a trauma-informed coach, I'd have been like,
What is that? Exactly.
and okay, like it never would have resonated with me. Like,
Yep.
yes, I have trauma, but I didn't think of it in that regards, right? So I love that you're taking something I feel like we completely overcomplicate
Oh, we
and
do.
just simplifying it down to its core. And I think that surveys are an amazing way to get curious around what people are wanting that you could collaborate with. Same way in communication,
Yep.
same way in having conversations. If you
Yep.
can bring a sense of curiosity instead of, like you said, that assumption,
Yep.
it opens up so many doors, so
Yeah.
many doors.
Totally agree. And then on top of that, what did we talk about just, 15 minutes ago? How an introvert needs time to think. So when somebody fills this survey out for you, you're not going to instantaneously talk to them, right? You can actually
Mm-hmm.
look at it and marinate. Oh, well, she said this, and she said this, and she said this. Hmm. You marinate on that for a couple hours, maybe even a day, and say, oh, she needs this, this, and this. But because you asked ahead of time and you feel like she's somebody you can really serve, you've had time to marinate and think about it. So now you can provide an ideal, really customized solution for this person that just told you what's going on with her,
Mm-hmm.
which is so cool because otherwise you wouldn't have been able to do that. And then in addition to that, another thing that introverts do really well is empathize. You can empathize with them. And
Mm,
then for whatever reason, if it's something that you can't provide, because you've done the prepare, because you've made it a point to be present in different networking events and interacting with different people, you've pushed yourself out your comfort zone. So now you know more people, you're expanding your network and you've practiced and now you've really made progress. You may have somebody in your network that could serve this person, and you're still the best thing since sliced bread because you not only help this person, you realize you weren't the person for them, but you were able to
mm,
give them the person that they needed for them to level up, which is even
yeah.
better. So it's just a win-win all over the place.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I feel like that in itself is coming from such a space of generosity. And in
Yes,
my personal opinion, so much comes
gorgeous.
back to you
Hmm.
from wanting to do that. That's one of my
Yep.
favorite things. You know, we've talked about this before when we were introducing other people to each other as
Right.
well. Like, if I can give someone else to you, that may make a giant impact, that may create a referral partner, that may be something for you. I'm just happy to know that I happen to be the connector that
Yep.
got you into the direction that you want to go. And for me, that's enough, because because I know that by doing that, it's going to come back to me tenfold and I don't have to force it.
For sure. Yep, for sure.
Oh,
Yes.
I love this conversation so
Yes.
much, Inga. Okay, so as we come to a close, one thing that I always ask all of my guests is, do you happen to have a quote or a piece of advice you'd like to leave the audience with? Because you've given so many amazing nuggets up to
Yes.
this point.
Well, I guess my quote is to do you, boo.
Oh, yes.
And I've already shared with you. I feel like that's like a mic drop. I think that's like, I mean, I just want you guys to be your authentic selves. And I think it's so important for you to be that, because nobody can do you better than you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a carbon copy of anybody else around you. You are wonderfully and fearfully made, and just roll with it. Just do you. And you would just be, as my father would say, dazed, glazed, and amazed about all the different things that you're able to do when you are just you.
I love that so much. And what's so funny, and I know nobody that is listening right now can see this, but the shirt that I have on today
It says, be
says
real,
not perfect.
That's right.
Like, talk about some synergy right there. So, Inga, I love this so much. That is going to be like my new thing across my wall. Do you, boo? Please, please tell everybody then, how can they find you? How can they connect with you? How can they be in your world?
Yes. So first and foremost, you guys can go to my website. It's ingafay.com, and that's INGA, F as in Frank, AY.com. It has all of my social media information. It has ways that you can connect with me on my calendar. Really, it's like my hub of everything. So you can definitely go there, check me out. And then if you want to connect on socials, definitely, like I said, all of that is there as well. My happy place is LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, we can connect there. And then my second happy place is YouTube, I'll say. But if you're on the other ones, I will still reach out to you. But I just wanted to give you my happy places first. So
I love the happy places. So, and of course, we'll have all that information in the show notes for you guys as well. So make it super easy for you to be able to connect and follow Inga as well. Oh, and you need to give them a little bit about your YouTube channel, because I had the opportunity to be on it. I want everybody to be able to go out and listen to some of the amazing conversations you have there as well.
yes. So my YouTube channel is just YouTube / Inga Fay Unplugged is what it's called. And I make it a point to really just talk to my fellow introverts. I'm all about giving you guys tricks and tips on how to build your business your way. So if you're looking for that kind of information, if you want a little uplift in your day, if you want to laugh a little bit, if you want to learn a little bit, and even be inspired by some of the other folks like Kat that I've had on my channel to just continue to educate you and uplift you and support you in your business, that is definitely the place to be.
Yes, and it's so much fun. We had such an amazing conversation. I love Inga's energy. So anyway, get over to her YouTube channel, take a look and everything. And Inga, again, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Yes, thank you for having me, girl.
You are so welcome. To everybody else that's out there, I hope you got your minds blown, and I hope that you were taking notes. And if not, you should just go ahead and re-listen to it now, because she gave so many amazing tips. I'm just saying. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next time, don't forget, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference it makes in your life. So until next time, have a fantastic day. Hello again, and thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode and it brought tons of value, we ask that you please share, like, and subscribe. Your support means the world to us and helps us to reach even more inspiring entrepreneurs who can benefit from these powerful conversations. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, as this feedback is an amazing gift that fuels our growth and helps us to continually improve this podcast. Looking for an extra dose of inspiration and empowerment? Then be sure to connect with me on social media. You can find me at The Lotus Effect, where I share valuable resources and tips while sharing my own journey of being an entrepreneur. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching programs and services, be sure to check out my website at the-lotus-effect.com. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of Real Chat with Kat. Your presence and support makes all the difference. Remember, whether you find yourself in the depths of the mud or on the path of growth, we all have a unique journey. And just like the lotus, some of us start in the dirtiest of mud, yet as we rise and grow, we blossom into something beautiful, unique, and truly one of a kind. To all of my visionaries out there, keep rising and growing as you create your own Lotus Effect.